Now, clearly, they want to do big things with David Otunga, who interrupted these guys again. And he was the guest host of Monday Night Raw this past week. What did you think of Otunga's performance?
Very, very convincing. I said this to a couple of people. I just thought he was on the mic more so. I know he's in-ring skills leave something to be imagined, but on the mic he can really drive, and I thought he actually worked really well as Raw guest host, and the ending was perfect for him, and puts him right up there in the big picture. And I think they should hold on to him because he's kind of got the look. I don't know about the hair gimmick with the Raw shaved into it, but convincing, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the hair gimmick was a little bit strange. He had Raw shaved into the side of his head, but certainly Otunga, showman, and indeed looking to prove a lot. Of course, he got that guest host spot from winning a match, the Battle Royale, on the previous NXT, not this week's, but indeed the week before. And a lot of the rookies on NXT this week shooting on Otunga. You got to wonder what the backstage feeling is like. I suppose everybody wanted that guest host spot.
Yeah, I think so, and I think having the A-list thing worked in there with his celebrity girlfriend is something, like we said, WWE needs to have somebody like that out in the spotlight constantly, and no better man. I think, yeah, Otunga, I'm marking out for Otunga this week.
Indeed, Otunga making a good showing and certainly placed in a very difficult spot, which is where I felt it went a little bit wrong. He had to interrupt Randy Orton, John Cena, and Jack Swagger, the new World Heavyweight Champion. He performed well in that position. You're talking about the top guys in the company, and indeed Otunga certainly given a difficult task. I think out of all the NXT rookies, there probably would have been no one better to do that.
Yeah, on the mic, I think Daniel Bryan, his mic skills are good, and Wade Barrett, and Otunga, those three. Darren Young will say no more. Skip, hilarious, but he's just not getting the time, and hopefully he doesn't get killed off. And the rest of them, forget about it. I mean, just forget about it. So, yeah, I think it was a tough spot for him, and he definitely delivered.
Now, regarding Orton, I'm wondering what they're doing with this babyface turn. Orton is probably my favourite wrestler. I really would have to pick him as the top guy. I think any match he's in, he can make guys look better than they actually are. And I think that they might be going in a bit of a Steve Austin direction, where perhaps we don't know whether we're meant to boo or cheer for Orton.
Yeah, I think so too. And just like we said earlier, you just don't know what to expect from him. He's certainly been pushed with the babyface gimmick. You can see it from just the positioning on the show, and I know he'd kind of double crossed Cena, but the week before when they teamed him up, and maybe they're still testing the water with him, but he's just, he's definitely going for the babyface route, I think, and I just don't know if the fans, will all mark out, or will it be 50-50? But my guess is, no matter what, if he is the babyface, I think you're going to get both sides still.
Yes, it's kind of hard to change a guy like that who's been so evil for so long back to this guy who comes out smiling. I mean, we all remember when Earthquake came out with that big smile across his chops. And indeed, we didn't expect that. Earthquake, a top heel for a long time. And indeed, the Earthquake syndrome hitting a lot of guys who suddenly go babyface. I like it when a guy continues to look how he did anyway and never changes the entrance, doesn't come out with that big cheesy smile, because it just telegraphs it and we know there's been a change. But if you keep it like that, as it is with Orton, that we're not sure what's happening, we don't know whether he's going to be a good or a bad guy yet, it is all the more interesting and psychological.
Yeah, if you look at John Morrison, there's another example of the heel turns babyface, and that smile is a bit cringy, I have to say. When even his promo with Swagger on SmackDown, which we'll get to in a bit, but yeah, it's a huge difference, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But with Orton, he'll maintain that straight, stern kind of look, and just to expect anything from him, and that's the way they should work it, because you can't do a complete 180 on a gimmick like Orton that he's had for so long and turn him into Morrison with the smile and all that. It's not going to work, you know.
Now, Sheamus took on Kofi Kingston. This more of a squash match for the Irish curse even, Sheamus O'Shaughnessy. And indeed, Sheamus is probably building towards a match with Triple H at Extreme Rules. That's a prediction. I don't know if that's even been called yet, but we're all going to assume that that's the case. Now, I'd like them to stop making Sheamus say fella in his promos. That word wouldn't go down too well outside a nightclub here in Ireland, if you probably call the guy out. But I'm just saying, because he is in a wrestling ring taking on other guys, that perhaps that's not the best thing for him to say, but certainly probably that wouldn't make a lick of sense in the US. Probably people think it's traditionally an Irish thing to say, but it's not really. And the promos are getting better, I think.
I think so too, and I think Triple H might actually put him over this time, which he should, because it's not exactly the biggest pay-per-view of the year anyway, and Sheamus needs his heel character to be notched back up. It took a little bit of a dent at Mania from Trips, so fingers crossed that Trips does the job.
I want to say hi to Article Unmake, joining us again this week on justin.tv. If you're watching us on YouTube, do not forget to catch us here on Sundays. If you're not doing anything, you can come and check us out at justin.tv/wrestledope. To make it easy, just go to Justin and click the wrestling section and you'll find us somewhere in there. And indeed, we talk all about wrestling and pretty much do it non-stop for a couple of hours. So we had HHH, who is, looking to take on Sheamus perhaps at Extreme Rules. We've seen that match at WrestleMania, and I expected to see it again. But HHH coming out with that sledgehammer eventually in hand. And indeed, a very strange statement made by Triple H when he said, "It's just like a silly Irishman to bring a pipe to a sledgehammer fight."
Which it's true. I mean, that pipe doesn't really look too dangerous, especially for a guy the size of Sheamus. Even if he had that fucking shillelagh that Finlay had, that would be a bit more convincing. But the pipe, I think you got to lose the pipe, Shame. Maybe get a sledgehammer like Trips and see if you can go at it. But the pipe's got to go, I think.
Yeah, the pipe doesn't really cut it against the Hunter Hearst Helmsley sledgehammer, but indeed he always has that on call, sitting under the ring. I wonder who he has to pay off to get that kind of advantage. Now, there's a new ring bell. Did you notice this? I'm pretty sure there is, and it just doesn't sound traditional, and it certainly put me off this week when I heard it. That's just a bit of a random thought. Now, I also marked out to the appearance of Maurice in the commentary booth this week for that Diva match. Once again, we had some kind of 5-on-5 dress up the Barbie Diva match. I'm not sure why, but at least the promising thing about this, I believe, was that there will be a women's champion match coming up very soon.
Put them all in the shuffle, give them their TV time. It's kind of sad. I mean, how many weeks is this in a row? But Maurice is hilarious on commentary, right up there. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And it kind of made me think, last week we spoke about the heel commentator, the color commentators that's missing these days, like with Jericho on NXT last week was really, really, really funny. And it would be interesting to see female commentary with somebody who can pull it off like Maurice. I mean, it was brilliant. I thought she was absolutely terrific.
A female commentator, the only time I can recall it is at one of those WrestleManias, and it was some sort of celebrity that did it, but that's something that is still not prominent, and certainly it would be nice to have that if you're going to do it on any show, perhaps NXT. A lot of new ideas on that show. So Eve triumphed, and she will take on Maurice for that belt pretty soon. And at least they're now going to start defending those women's belts.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Eve. I don't know. Something's fishy with her. I don't know what it is. I think she's more of a work than she thinks. Yeah, she doesn't convince me.